Hello, my beautiful collective. It's Kai. This video is for all of my fellow highly sensitive people. So, if you have not done your own research on this term, it is something that describes someone who's very sensing. Very sensing also means that one can be very sensitive. And especially when it comes to that kind of focal point in the spiritual journey, it is really something that I wanted to actually share my own experience in, letting you guys know that it is possible. It is possible being highly sensitive, still protecting yourself, honoring how you feel, what you're experiencing, as long as one is open to it. And one of the biggest things, especially growing up and being told to not cry, to pretty much shut down my emotions and not take them as seriously, or pretty much validate them. So I was very gaslit as a child growing up, and it definitely created this whole narrative that I had to be strong. So I definitely took upon a very masculine identity, I guess you could say, or method of shutting my emotions down, not really experiencing them. And it caused me to become, in some ways, quite harsh with those around me who were sensitive as well. And so, and I'm sure we've all heard that whole negative way of speaking to someone where you're like, stop being so sensitive, things like that, right? And then we have the other side where it's like, if someone can't handle how sensitive you are, then they're not deserving of you or worthy of you, stuff like that, especially within the very strongly feminine, supportive energies. I myself, right? So this is just based on my own experience. Please use your own discernment. What works for me may not work for you. That is the disclaimer every fucking video. So I feel like when I experience such strong emotions, especially being a Capricorn moon, it can be quite overwhelming. And what I've learned is not to shut myself down, to experience those emotions and in some cases it was in increments because of how intense it was. When I was initially grieving my friend that passed away, it was very, very intense. I ended up losing a lot of weight. I got very depressed and I wasn't eating. And so that's why I practice. There's certain times where I feel myself, when you cry and it's inexplicably unexplainable. You don't know why, you're just crying and it's just happening. That is exactly the kind of experience that helped me kind of gain actually a better sense of control. When in reality, I'm just releasing control, And letting myself experience these things allows me to validate and acknowledge truly my emotion and not intellectualizing, not trying to dive deeper, not trying to figure out reasons why. It's just feeling, right? And recently I opened up to someone after closing myself off to them because I felt very uncomfortable whilst also very unsafe. And that can come in various forms: emotional, mental, physical, spiritual. All of these matter. And so that's why when I was speaking to them, I told them I'm actually really grateful that you believe me when I say that these things bother me, that it makes me uncomfortable, that I get triggered and I'm not okay with being treated in that way, when I lay down boundaries and I'm not shut down. And so it was really eye-opening to have this experience because I've been lately really acknowledging how sensitive I can be when it comes to physicality with people. Yes, because of my past experiences with traumatic events like being molested, things like that, right? So very physically dysregulating experiences, as much as having that dysregulating environment emotionally, mentally growing up. And so when it comes to being a highly sensitive person, one, super important to acknowledge how sensitive you are, how sensing, what you're sensing, literally. Those experiences also, especially if you're on the spiritual journey consciously, then truly it will allow you to tap into your many gifts. So there's different clairs. There's clairvoyance, claircognizance, clairaudience, I don't remember all the other ones, but there are things like that. So that can also allow you to learn more about yourself and learn more about your skills, your blessings, your gifts, whether it's ancestral or not. It's something that you can cultivate to pretty much tap in to your inner knowledge and wisdom. So this is why I don't view my sensitivity in a negative light, as much as I understand that some people do not have this space. Okay, they simply do not have this space. Not because you're too much, not because they have too little. No, they themselves have their own lives, their own experiences. Sonder, right? Everyone's experiencing their own world. The biggest thing when it comes to pretty much gaining a support system that's what's the word? Secure. When it's secure, it's flow. When you allow yourself to flow around this person without even thinking, right? Even when you're outside of like being with them physically, it's so important to be able to protect your energy. That's why I always say I wish you the best and I love and support on your own spiritual journey, because I myself have learned that being on the spiritual journey comes with all of the nuances. It comes with the dark, the light. It comes with feminine and masculine. It comes with inspired action and intuitive notions. It is hand in hand. You can't just do one thing alone. That's why feeling is important as much as honoring how you feel. Having proper boundaries with people and with yourself, okay? We are able to recognize and sense things so fucking like subliminally that it's not something that you can truly explain over and over and over. If someone doesn't understand, they just don't understand, not because they're not capable of understanding, but you have to actually discern when someone responds to you in a specific way to protect your space. When there's a pattern that you recognize in this person, whether it's something within their personality, their own identity, whatever the fuck it is that they do, right? How it affects you is just as important, because this connection is between you and this person. If it is not feeling safe, if it's not feeling like safe, honestly, that's like the truly best way to put it, because sometimes there are traits within a connection that are necessary, whether it's distance, whether it's like having differences, whether it's having conflict, or even just compromise and conversation, right? So it is so important to recognize and really witness people for not only like the fact that you're feeling, sensing something, and if they themselves do not have that kind of vocalization, they do not bring this information forth to you. You are noticing things, right? It doesn't mean that you're right though, you know what I mean? And I feel like as I'm talking about this, there are a lot of people in this collective who have definitely been gaslit as much as gaslit themselves. And so it's so important to stand within your emotions, right? Acknowledge your experience, know that you feel a certain way, and then you bring forth a conversation when you are calmed down so that you can actually gain or reconnect with this person in a way that allows you to feel safe. So it's to not gaslight your experience, but it's honestly to not gauge it based on someone else's response to you on how significant, important, how like grand it is, to like even the positive emotions. Like if someone doesn't like truly experience that with you, then they can't acknowledge that, you know? Like it's the same thing where you can't truly love someone unless you love yourself. That is truly what it is. That is why we are so hard on others, because we're hard on ourselves, and judge others because we judge ourselves. So it's like it's a constant reflection that's being allowed within your space. So it's truly like understanding how you're responding to things. That is the potentiality within a highly sensitive person. It's to witness your own experience, to observe it, and to also experience it initially so that you can bring forth yourself, what you are experiencing, into the conversation, into the connection, and then allowing the other person to speak up for themselves, right? Like, being highly sensitive doesn't make you more knowing or anything like that. It just allows more information to just be, and that is the point. When it comes to spiritual things connected to spirituality, I love this one video that I watched of a fellow psychic tarot reader, and they're saying, like, even if you have intuitive notions, it's just intuitive notions until it's confirmed in the physical reality. It doesn't mean that we know all. Like, then we would be God and goddess. Like, we don't need to have that kind of all-knowing, honestly. Like, that kind of focus is best given to yourself. And so I recognized, like, I can be myself, highly sensitive person around people, experience my own things, as much as honor myself in any connection, whether it is a space for me to open up to them, whether it isn't a space that I feel safe enough to do that. That is where my discernment's coming in, though. Because one of the biggest things that I've learned, especially karmically, is like when I share so much that it hurts me to share. And that in itself shows me that I'm not truly giving with the kindness and openness and receptivity of giving. Being giving is also receptivity, because you're giving simply to give. There's nothing that you are asking for. That is openness. That is receptivity. When you release the things that you desire. This is all based on like manifestation as well. Like the things that you desire, you need to let go of it, because the universe is going to simply show up in ways that are beyond what you can even imagine. So then you have that level of awareness because you create space so that when the universe presents these opportunities, these blessings into your life, even these challenges and lessons, you can see it clearly for what it is, not what you want it to be, what you think it should be, or X, Y, and Z. And so that's why you release it. And then you allow yourself the frequency to experience it with yourself. That is the key thing, is to experience it with yourself, so that when you go out into the world, you're not seeking validation. You are already validated within your own experience. That is why I am spiritual, because being highly sensitive, being a psychic, doing tarot readings, also being a spiritual student, like I myself am learning. I'm a soul experiencing this human body, this lifetime. I get to experience it. So it's like validating my experiences allow me to see people clearly. As much as by being with myself, I am not codependent on their responses, reactions even, because we can't always control how we feel, right? There's never always or forever one thing. It is the nuanced fluctuations of interlacing all of the waves in which they are. Sometimes it's more succinct, sometimes it's like a double helix, like it's just interlacing in its own ways. So if you feel like, being super sensitive is not something you're capable of tapping into, or that you're allowing yourself truly to tap into around other people, there's a big moment that you can actually reevaluate. This is a good opportunity to just reevaluate. How am I supporting myself? How am I allowing people to support me? How am I loving myself? How am I allowing people to love me? That was the things that came up. I was like, I am blocking off these people because I'm not open to them loving me in this way, because I do not love myself in that way. How can I learn from this into integrating that into my own lifestyle, whilst also allowing there to be a boundary? Because if you do not have this space for someone as well, that is key. Intuitive. You do not need a reason. That is why it's so important to not go into this egoic manner of trying to like validate your experience with explanations and intellectualizing everything. Intellect is also just another form of being realistic and practical. But being practical doesn't mean that you're doomed to some form of a reality. It's to see things as they are, to not gain multiple connotations, to paint a narrative, a play based on someone else's experience. They have every right to speak up for themselves, and if they don't, then they don't. That is not space for you to fill in their own space to speak. That is why, even though, yes, highly sensing people can take in a lot of information. It is so important to also be able to vocalize that properly. Like to vocalize that without projecting and blaming or alluding to certain things that, like, you know what I mean? Like making the narrative I statements, not you did this, you made me feel this way. No, I feel this way. I responded, reacted, I felt triggered. Feelings, right? And then you go into the consensus of I think this is what it is, but please explain yourself. Allow there to be space for other people to verbalize things versus always sensing and picking up on all this information. So that's just a little bit of what I've learned, at least, and especially because recently I've been re-acknowledging how sensitive and sensing I am. And then it's been also this like level of maturity where like I'm not like overreacting to certain things. I'm not dramatizing the whole experience. I'm actually just experiencing it, so then I can allow myself to speak to people that I need to have conversation with, so that we can have a cohesive, comfortable space for us to feel safe to express ourselves as much as work together, right? So that is kind of the video. I just felt very inspired to share this because lately it's been a big theme to really validate my emotions as much as not like paint my whole road with those colors, because that's what I see naturally. So it's coming from love, okay? It's always going to come from love. And I know that sometimes there are experiences that may make you feel, and I'm not trying to speak for you, but I'm just speaking from my own experience, that may feel like your feelings may not matter, or that people are going to making efforts to shut you down. Please allow yourself that space and that sacred, safe space to honor yourself, truly, because the only person that can truly do it to the utmost, like, ability is you, and that is the gift that you get to tap into, and it's within you, and it's already here. So there's really nothing that you need to do except be there for yourself. I know that sometimes it might feel challenging, it might feel even emptying or empty, and maybe some experiences are very harrowing, but just know that you're not alone, okay? And I'm gonna thank you once again for being here. Truly, thank you for allowing me the space. Thank you for being you. Thank you for being alive. And I'm sending you guys so much love and support on your own spiritual journey.